We are going to share some wonderful stories today about apports, messages from the other side, some prophecies that have come true, and some wonderful healing that actually occurred through the assistance of St. Catherine Drexel. I welcome everybody to watch, listen, and learn, and I hope that we are educating, entertaining, and enlightening everybody to let you know that there is a spirit world on the other side that watches over us with light and love. And today I think you will share with the guests that we have to see some extraordinary examples of spirit communication. Thank you for joining us. And today we have a wonderful affirmation of a spirit message that was received by me for this lovely lady's family, Donna Ray. And Donna and I have been acquainted with each other as client and professional for several years, but I would say now that I would consider you someone very special in my life. I would consider you my friend.
Absolutely.
And what is so wonderful is that many wonderful things have occurred with her family, and she is here to share something. And it's very poignant because the anniversary of the passing was yesterday, am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
It was a year ago. And I'll give a little intro as to what happened. I had done an event that a coworker of yours had, and we mentioned you. And the coworker said, you know what, Donna gave me your name, and it was a beautiful event. And sadly, there was a situation a year ago in Andover where a very lovely young woman had come out from the police station and gotten into her car. Unfortunately, there was an accident. A car cut across the meridian, and the lovely young woman was killed. And her name was Cindy Ray. And Cindy Ray is your beautiful daughter-in-law, your son's wife. And through the hostess that I saw previous to that, she emailed me to indicate that this was your relative, and also indicated that the family would like me to somehow make a connection by coming to the service. And I wavered on that. I wasn't really sure. I didn't really know what to do. And I asked Cindy, I said, could you send me something from you to give to the family? And, you know, this was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, I believe. The wake was at Solamine Funeral Home in Lynn. And I was in a thrift store in Marblehead called the Magic Hat. And I was thinking about Cindy. I was thinking about all of you. And I didn't want to intrude on anyone's grief. I certainly wouldn't want to do that, but I wanted to help. And I'm shopping through the store, and I came to these kiosks with many different outfits. And I picked a pair of pants off the kiosk, and I put them on the counter to pay for them. And as I went to pay for them, the pants fell on the ground. And I picked them up, and I screamed. Because inside the pants, the label said Donna Ray. And I'm going to say we brought the pants today.
Yes, we did.
We brought the pants today because I'm going to say that I feel that the message your beautiful girl was trying to give you was, here I am, and you can see the label says Donna Ray. And Donna Ray is the name of the lovely mother-in-law.
Absolutely.
Sorry. So I am going to say that I called the funeral home right after this, and I asked to speak to someone, and it was a very lovely woman who came on the phone. And I said, could you possibly get a message to Donna Ray from me? And I said, I can't come today. I will see her soon, hopefully, but I wanted to share the apport with the family. Now maybe you can segue into what happened when you got the note.
Yes, at the end of the wake that night, David and I were speaking, and he told me how sometimes, you know, they get messages for a family member, and that he had a message for me. And when I opened up the piece of paper for the message, it said Linnea right on the top. And Linnea was the person that I thought of after Cindy's passing. And I was very comforted to think that, you know, she had connected with me. And when she told me the story about the pants, I knew that it was Cindy
Talking to us.
Absolutely.
And shortly after I did this with the apport, I was at an event in Woburn, a private event. And, you know, they were all different ages, and there were a couple of college kids sitting there. And when I started the event, I went to the first college girl and I said, I don't know why, but I'm supposed to share with you a situation that just happened with me. And I told her about the pants, I told her about Cindy Ray, I told her about the family. And the girl looked at me and she was kind of shaking. And she said, why are you sharing that with me? I said, I don't know, I'm supposed to. She said, my mother works for Brian Ray.
Yes.
My mother works for Brian Ray. We were at the service, we knew Cindy, and the whole room just was like, oh! Because I wouldn't know that Cindy knew her, but Cindy knew her. Now I just did a radio show. I do a lot of radio. And I have to say I love TV the best. I am going to say that. But I do radio, and Halloween is a big thing for that. And, you know, I enjoy doing it. And I was on this show, and a woman called in. And, you know, it's random calls. We get several people from all over the place. And I said to this girl, gee, are you trying to reach a woman, a young woman? She said, yes. And I said, well, she's showing me Brian. And North Andover, I said, it's Cindy Ray. And the girl said, yes, I'm her friend. I'm her friend. Now, I don't know Cindy's friends, but Cindy knows her friends. So I'm going to say, you said you felt her in church on Sunday. What happened in church when you were in church on Sunday? You said the light?
That one of the lights would go out and come back on.
All right. And maybe you can share some of the other things that have come true during our association with each other. Maybe you can start at the beginning.
Well, I truly believe my dad, who had passed 24 years ago, connected me with you.
Okay.
I had been invited to a party at a coworker's house. And years ago, I had connected my father with a spiritual medium, and he became a believer after that connection. And after his passing, I hadn't actively sought out being read by anyone. And then I was invited to this coworker's party, and that night, you know, after you did your introduction and you looked around the room, you chose me to go first,
Right.
which I felt you did because I am very open to all of this spiritual world. And my dad came through, and he wanted to know where I had been for all these years.
Okay.
So I got a chuckle. I knew it was definitely him because that would have been what he was saying to me, you know, where have you been? So you next asked me who Mary was, and that was my mother, and then John, and that was my stepdad, and you just continued one thing after another, hitting everything right on the nail on the head.
I think I made a prediction about a beautiful baby, did I not?
You did. You made several predictions about my grandchildren and my children's weddings.
Right.
And a couple of weeks before my first granddaughter was born, I was read by you, and you told me that I would be receiving a piece of jewelry in honor of the birth of my grandchild. And you weren't sure what it was going to be, whether it was going to be a booty, but it would have a diamond on it.
Right.
And the necklace I have on today is what my husband gave me for Christmas, which is the
babies.
mother-child necklace with the diamond on it.
In honor of your little one.
Right, and he knew nothing about what you had told me.
And I think you said, too, that he's not someone that gets jewelry all the time. It's a once-in-a-while thing, but I was told by your parents that there would be a beautiful gift to honor this first little baby girl that came to you.
Yes.
And you did get that. And I think I told you were going to get something with a cardinal on it.
Yes, in one of my other readings, and it was at Christmas time, actually, and my girlfriend out in Arizona had purchased me a snow baby, and the snow baby's a white, of course, and there was two little cardinals sitting, one on the log and one on the snow baby's, the Santa hat on the snow baby. Now, she was out in Arizona, and she, too, had known nothing about
The
aport that you had given me, and I mean, I could go on and on and on with all the predictions that you have given, you know, I've heard through my own readings or other people's readings in my attendance. As a matter of fact, last year I attended 3 weddings that were all predicted by you at various readings over the course of the past 10 years.
Thank you. And I am going to say that I think your beautiful girl, Cindy, did want to make herself known right away. And I am going to say that it is so special that you're here today, and I have to thank you and your family for, affirming everything. And also, since yesterday was the year anniversary, I would say that it isn't a coincidence that you're here today. I'm going to say that she wanted you to be here on this particular day, because yesterday, I'm sure, had to be very poignant for all of you. And I hope that I have given you some kind of comfort and some kind of solace. I can't change things, I know that, but I can make them be a little bit better, because you know that they are always with us. They watch over us with light and love, and I think that she will continue to connect with all of you. And there was something very special you told me about the wedding picture, and it's independent of me, but what happened with the little mark on the wedding picture, do you remember that?
Well, I believe it was either in her reading at one time that you gave her, or her mother's,
Okay.
that when you talked about the upcoming wedding
Okay.
of Brian and Cindy, that her father, who had passed, would be there, and that he would be there.
An orb in the picture.
That there would be a dove.
Okay, a dove, okay.
And in one of the wedding pictures, there is a dove circling in front of the church that day.
All right, so her father came to show that. And I think when you were picking the picture for the funeral home, there was a mark on one of the pictures. And remember that?
Yes,
you told me
yes.
about that. Maybe you can share that, because that was her communicating too. So maybe you can share that.
Yes. When they had gotten married, they had a framed picture that they so often do now as a guest book type
Right.
of thing, where people could sign their best wishes. And someone had made a mark on one of the photos. And when we were choosing pictures to be at the funeral home, we couldn't bring that one because it had a mark. And my son's good friend decided to try to make the picture better so we could have that there
And
that
use it,
night.
right.
And he worked on it and worked on it, and all of a sudden, he had tried everything, Photoshop, and then all of a sudden a pencil fell on the desk where he was working on the picture. And for some reason, he decided to pick up the pencil and just rub it over the picture, and the mark was gone.
I'm sorry. I
Oh,
hope
no,
I
that's
helped.
all right.
I hope I helped you. I know this has to be very special, because she was very much loved.
Oh,
And still very much
she is
loved. Still very
still
much
around
loved.
us.
Of course. And I'm going to say that you and your family have your own.
I
guardian
absolutely
angel.
believe that, the spirits live on, and they are all around us, and they're
Right.
here to help us whenever we need them.
Of course.
And
And
to
I'm
watch
going
over
to
and
say,
guide us.
I'm going to say to get the pants with your name in it on the day of the wake, the first day of the wake, is letting you know that she has been resurrected through Christ, and she lives on in eternal life. So thank
She
you so
does.
much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Linnea.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough, because you're getting the message out there. You're a spiritual messenger. You're letting the world know through your own experiences that the soul is eternal. Today we have a wonderful guest who will give us some affirmations of some of the things that have come true for him and his family. And he will share some extraordinary experiences that really show that the spirit world is trying to connect with us. And I'd like to introduce Andy Reese. And we had the pleasure of meeting each other, I think it was 2 years ago in June, at a foundation that I was doing some volunteer work, a wonderful foundation. And you came in with your lovely wife to my bereavement group, and we had not been acquainted before then.
Correct.
And I do believe there were other people there, and I came to you, and I started to ask you about a young man. And I got the age. I believe I said the age was 20?
21, yeah.
21. And I think I asked you what May 20th was.
May 20th.
Or did I get the funeral date?
It was May 17th.
May 17th. All right. Well, the May 20th would have been after the funeral situation,
Right.
maybe the bereavement period.
Yeah.
And the young man kept telling me he was your brother, and he was showing me a baggie that had all kinds of curls in it. He said, the curls are mine. And you were kind enough to reach into your knapsack that was closed, and you took out a bag with the baby curls. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we continued on, and he said, you know, a lot of different things. And he showed me a medallion. He said somebody was getting a medallion for your mother, and I think I got her birthday in July. And he said the picture of he would be on the medallion.
Right.
And you really couldn't verify that for me because it was a surprise for your mother. And so you kind of said, well, maybe down the road. And we continued to talk, and I believe I asked you about Ryan, and that's your wonderful boy, and your brother and Ryan are very close, always. And that's when I started to see all the Star Wars stuff. And I said, your brother's showing me Star Wars, and the two of them enjoyed that connection. And then the brother showed me a Star Wars lunchbox, Darth Vader, that kind of theme. And you were kind enough to verify that indeed your brother had bought a little lunchbox for Ryan that had Star Wars on it. And I asked you where it was, and you were kind of like, well, someplace.
Yeah.
And I said, actually, that's the A port you're going to receive, and now maybe you could be kind enough to say what happened after you left my program.
Well, when we got home, I was standing outside. My wife had gone in the house. I was talking to a neighbor, explaining, you know, where we were and what we did.
Right.
And my wife started calling me outside, saying, "Hey, you got to come in here and see this. You got to come in." When we had gone inside, the lunchbox, actually, this is it here, was on the bed, and I know I didn't put it on the bed. I'm sure one of the kids did. How it got there, we don't know. But just the fact that we haven't seen it,
Right.
and all of a sudden it just appeared on the bed,
Right.
was obviously the A port that we were looking for.
Now, I just need to ask you, and I know you'll be kind enough to be honest with me. When I told you some of the things, what did you think? You can be honest.
Oh,
What
I
was
was
your-
I was skeptical. I
Okay.
was very skeptical to even
okay.
go to begin
Right.
with because
right.
I mean it was soon, you know, very
Right.
soon after
Of
that.
course.
You know, we just really
It just
it
happened.
wasn't my thing to go.
Right.
You know, but once I was talked into going, and you know, we went with a group, and the experience was what it was. So
Did your family get some comfort
yeah, I
out
know
of
my
this?
mother did.
Yeah.
I know my mother did also.
Now, I know that there was a wonderful lady who came to the bereavement group after you came. I didn't know who she was, very pretty woman. And I asked her who Linda was, and she said, that's me. And I gave her some other information, didn't know her identity, and I told her she was going to get rosary beads. And she was like, well, I don't think so. And I said, they're going to come in the mail from New York. And you know, she was very nice. She said, well, who knows? And I said they'd be green, orange, kind of a odd color, big, big beads. Now, you decided to have a private event in the fall, and I come to the house, and, you know, you open the door, and who's sitting at the table but Linda? She's your mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. And I said, how are you? And she said, I have something to share with you. And she took the box and pushed it across the table. I opened it up, and inside of the rosary beads, I think the color I mentioned, and she got them about a week after she met me.
Yep.
And she said, I didn't expect it. Now I know my mother made a connection. And I think that night your wonderful parents were there, and I saw something that I was kind of puzzled by, and I shared it with everyone. I said to your family, why am I seeing writing on the sidewalk? I said, I see this writing on the sidewalk, and maybe you can explain what that was.
Once my brother had passed away, a bunch of us got together at my house, and we got, my daughter has all that sidewalk chalk.
Right.
So we all started writing messages on the driveway and the sidewalk in front of the house to him, and apparently that's what you had seen.
Right, and the messages weren't there anymore because probably the rain
Right.
might have washed them away.
Right.
But I think your brother was trying to make the connection that, guess what? I saw the messages, I know what they are, I know that you did that for me. And then the beautiful thing was your mother had something to show me. She said, may I share this with you? And I said, absolutely. And she took from her necklace the medallion of your brother's face.
Right.
And she said, when you told them that in June, they couldn't admit to it because it was being designed and it was a surprise for me.
Right.
So I think your brother was making the connection that there would be a memorial on that etching for her, and that the sidewalk writing he knew about. And I think the strongest one, I think, to hit the two of you so succinctly was to come home from an event where he said that,
Right.
and you found it on the bed.
Yeah. Now, to add to the sidewalk chalk.
Yes.
The writing on the sidewalk. I don't think you even know about this one. My father called me frantically one day because, you know, the Google Earth. Where you
Yes.
can go on Google and you can do like street
Of your
view
house,
of your
right.
house.
Uh-huh.
You know, they don't keep that always up to date.
No.
But the Google Earth view of my parents' house at the time
Mm-hmm.
had all the messages written on the sidewalk.
So not a coincidence, but synchronicity. He goes on Google to look up something,
Right.
and there are the messages that
Yeah.
your brother shared with us through me in the fall. Was he happy about that?
I don't know if he was happy about it. It kind of,
Affirmed.
set him back a little bit.
Well, it
but,
affirmed that your
it's not there
brother-
anymore. Of
No,
course,
no.
they've updated the picture since
Right.
then, but, it was just kind of,
A message.
yeah, exactly. That's how I take it.
I do too. And the thing is that I think if you can be open to it, which I think you and your family are, and I think if you can look for the signs that they're trying to send to us. But I remember I got a phone call that afternoon about this, and
Right.
I was on the phone going, what? And what the person was telling me was you had gone to their house and you were showing that, and it was like it happened at 10 o'clock, and at 1:30,
Yeah.
here it is. And I think your wonderful brother is trying to tell you that he lives on. And have you experienced any more messages from him? Do you dream of him?
I haven't dreamt of him yet.
Okay.
Certain things will happen,
And you know it's
I
him.
always kind of know,
Right.
little stupid things.
That's all right.
Could be anything. I
That's
could be
okay.
working, something could be going wrong or going right, and
Yeah,
I either
he knows
blame
him.
him or say thank you. So,
That's all right.
I know he's always around, and there's always going to be messages.
And I think for him to show us this on the very day that it happened, that is such a wonderful communication to let you know that they watch over us with light and love. Did this help your family?
It helped me, helped my wife.
Okay.
She was a little weirded out by it. Saying,
Okay.
Does that mean he's here right now? But no, it definitely helped because
You knew.
I knew.
Right. Thank you so much.
No
I
problem. Thank
appreciate
you.
that. Beautiful family. Give them my best for the holidays. And again, you're a spiritual messenger, all of you. Having the experience and sharing it with the world and being able to come onto wonderful Saugus Community Television to say, look what happened to us, it can happen to you too. Merry Christmas.
You too.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. It was great to see you. Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Today we have a very wonderful guest who is going to give you a multitude of things that have happened with her and her wonderful family and some wonderful friends since our association. And it always is very inspirational to me to have someone come in and share with us the things that have come true and the things that have been situations that did evolve for you. And that's called bearing witness. And bearing witness is in the Bible, and it's quite profound because if something does happen to you or I tell you something I couldn't know, you're knowing that the information is channeled to me through the divine realm. And as you know, I do feel my gift is God-given. I've always said that. And I follow Christ, and I do feel that that is part of what I'm showing, that there is spiritual messages coming from the soul who lives on through eternal life. And we have Kim today. Kim's going to share some things with us. Welcome. Thank you so much. How are
Hi,
you?
Linnea. Fantastic. How
I
are
know,
you?
you look great.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Thank you. It's wonderful to see you too. And maybe you could share some of the things that you've experienced over the years as a manifestation of my work.
Well, I've known you, Linnea, now for several years.
Right.
But one in particular time I can speak about was when you came to my house, and oftentimes you will hold a photograph or a
Right.
piece of jewelry.
Right.
And on that night, I gave you the rings that I'm wearing now, which are my grandmother's
Right.
wedding set. And you began to receive messages from her. And you stopped after your first few sentences and said, "Who is Yvonne?" Now that's a very different name. It's
Right.
not like Susan or Anne.
No.
And Yvonne was my grandmother's name, whose wedding set these rings are.
Wonderful.
So right then and there, I had chills, and I said, this is going to be a really good reading. I also had some of my family members there around our dining room table, and one in particular was my niece
Beautiful
and my
girl.
godchild, Ray Beth,
Right.
who I love dearly, and she had never been read, but always had heard about you and heard about some of the things that you had told us. So in your reading to us, you had spoken about a gentleman who would be in the pharmaceutical field. She at that time did not know who you were referring to. She was involved in a relationship with another gentleman, which we didn't know at the time, but she soon, within 2 weeks after the reading, broke up with that gentleman and actually reunited with a friend that she knew through junior high school.
Tim.
Tim.
I got the name.
Yes, you
right?
did, and you came out and you said Tim, and at that time we didn't know
It didn't
who
mean
you were
anything.
speaking about,
Right.
and he was working in Cambridge in the pharmaceutical field. So this was something that came true much later, and it turned out that, in fact, Tim and Ray Beth were married last July.
And she was proposed to in New York because I said that.
She was proposed to in New York
Right.
on Godmother's birthday, January the 19th,
How beautiful.
which was absolutely amazing. And you also spoke about a job change for her. And at that time you spoke about somewhere, a college that started with E. You didn't
Right.
know whether it would be Emmanuel or Endicott College.
Right.
Turns out she is an event planner at Endicott College and
you go.
still works there.
Good for her.
But
She's a
was
beautiful kid.
amazing. Oh, absolutely.
kid.
She's my heart.
And I said to her, I think you're named for someone.
And she was born on September 6th, which was my grandfather's birthday.
Right.
My grandfather was born in India. His name was Ravan Shankar,
Right.
but we called him Ray.
Right.
Or he was called Ray.
Right.
And that's who she was named for Grampy Ray.
And I remember telling her that, and I know she was kind of stunned, and she was like looking at me like, yes, yes. Very beautiful couple. I hope they're always as happy as they are today.
I believe
I think they will
be.
be. And Auntie gets to watch all of this, which has to be even more of a dream come
Oh,
true.
it's wonderful. It's
Now,
wonderful.
the other thing is, I think I asked you about someone that was close to you that might have been having some medical problems in the stomach area, and maybe you could explain.
Well, Linnea, I think how it came about was you said to me in the midst of the reading, "Who is Richard?"
Right.
And immediately, and I'm going to cry again,
I know.
I cried because Richard is a very, very, very dear friend of mine who had just been diagnosed with esophageal and stomach cancer.
Right.
He had most of his esophagus removed and about a third of his stomach as well.
Right.
And he was going to go through some really massive chemotherapy. Thank you.
Of course.
So we were very nervous about that.
Of course.
But at any rate, at that time, you told me that I would be the conduit for healing
Right.
for him.
Because I think I said I would like to petition St. Catherine Drexel to help him, and I didn't feel that he would be conducive to me because he doesn't know me, and that's totally understandable. But you, with your medical connection and your background, I said, plus your connection to him, what if we got to lose? Let's continue naturally with your doctors and your nurses, but let's petition St. Catherine Drexel, and then maybe you can continue with that.
Yes, I actually researched her online, got to know a bit about who she was, and I began to pray to her.
Right.
And I knew that if I continued this, I had belief that this truly would work for him. And I explained to Richard what I was doing, he and his wife, and they truly were very upset with God at the time.
Of course.
But said, please, Kim, continue to do whatever you think may help.
Right.
It just so happened that I was going on a Mediterranean cruise with my mom,
Okay.
and we were going to some places that I thought would be a great place to petition
Spiritual. Right.
spiritual
Okay.
help.
Absolutely.
And so one of the places that I prayed was outside of the Tower of Pisa in Italy, in the Field of Miracles.
Okay.
And then we went on to Sicily, and we went to St. Rosalia's Sanctuary,
Oh.
which she was the patron saint of Sicily, and I lit candles and also prayed, and I brought back actually a piece of the cave.
Okay.
And when I got home to Richard, I gave him the prayer card from St. Rosalia's Sanctuary and a piece of the cave, and I also had brought a medal, which he immediately had his wife tie around his wrist.
Okay.
And as he went through chemo treatments and had several very near close calls with death, he wore that medal until finally, Linnea, after our prayers, his first scans that he had done after the chemo were clear. He is 50, I want to say 6 or 7 years old
Right.
now. He's back to work full time.
He's in remission.
It's truly a miracle. And I believe I was the conduit for
I did
healing
too.
through praying with St. Catherine Drexel.
Right.
So anything you tell me from now on, I'm going to do because it came true.
No, and the thing is, it's so wonderful if you're open to it, because there is a spiritual healing, and it doesn't always work, and I wish that it did. But with my own mother, my mother was in a coma, and I petitioned Catherine Drexel. My mother came out of the coma. I had her for 5 more years. There have been instances where you pray for this, and if you have your faith, which is the core foundation of all of us, you know there is something around us that can make that come true. So he's been in remission for how long?
It's been almost 3 years now, I believe.
God bless him.
And the scarf that I'm wearing now
Yes.
is a scarf that I bought in Italy during
Okay.
that trip.
All right, and it has an angel on
And
it.
it has an angel on it.
Right.
And I think of him always when I wear this.
Of
and
course.
I'll be seeing him again this Christmas.
Please
So
give him my
I-
best. Although I've never met him, I feel that I have met him. And the thing is that she came through loud and clear along with your other petitions. And there are many places in the world that do have a connection to healing. One of them is Lourdes in France. Miracles have happened there. Our Lady of Fatima, that's another place. There is also the Mission Church in Roxbury, and it is now the St. Catherine Drexel Church. And I do want to explain something that happened when I was quite a little girl. My father would hire a lot of immigrant men to work with him, and a lot of them didn't speak English very well, but he felt that since his family were immigrants, he would give a chance to others. And one night we were having a cookout. I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I answered the phone, and it was one of his laborers, and I couldn't understand the gentleman. He was speaking Portuguese to me, so I gave the phone to my dad, who spoke a little bit of that, and I heard my father say, "I'm on my way." And what had happened was this gentleman's son was on his tricycle, and somehow a branch had hit his eye, and they were at Mass Eye and Ear, and he wanted my father. So my father drove in, and he met with the doctor, and the doctor said, "The eye is destroyed. We have to remove it." And the father was like, "No, I can't do that." And my father was like, "What are we going to do?" They bandaged up the little boy, and every night after work, my dad and this laborer would go to the mission church, and the man prayed. And about 10 days later, my father said to Manny, "Look, we've got to have that looked at. It's been 10 days. And they actually went back to the hospital and got the same doctor again. And the doctor came out to my father in the waiting room, and he said, "Where did you take him?" And my father said, "Nowhere, just to the church." He said, No. Where did you take him? I'm an ophthalmologist." My father said, "I'm telling you." And the doctor said, "The eye is cured. There's no problem with the eye. The boy can see." And now that doctor was an atheist. And he said to my father, "Where is this church?" He made contact with the priest. The man became a Catholic because he said, only the hand of God could have done that. And that was my first experience with this, because my family was very open to it. My grandmother's mother was a medium. So I'm just going to say, yes, you go to your doctors, of course, but you can also petition the supernatural realm, and they'll listen to us, and they will heal us. Is he happy?
He's very happy,
And his wife is happy?
for sure. We've still got him with us.
That's right. And I hope that
We
that
love him dearly.
continues. I hope that that continues. I hope that it will. And the thing is that if you just put it out there, what have you got to lose? You know, follow your traditional, but when you get the holistic and you get the spiritual connections, you can't go wrong. Has this journey been a fortuitous one for you?
It's just incredible.
And I do
Just
remember I
incredible.
asked you, do you remember I asked you about a medical book?
Yes, you did.
I did, remember that?
Yes, you did.
I said someone wrote a medical book.
And the funny thing was that before you had arrived at my home that evening, we were just talking as a family. And my
Right.
mom's a nurse. Her dad was the Indian
Right.
from, the gentleman from India
Right.
who was a physician.
Okay.
He had also had a pharmacology degree, and he wrote a book that my mom studied from in nursing school.
my
So we were
gosh.
passing the book around because my niece hadn't seen it.
Right.
And we spoke about that. But the funny thing is the book was under the table on
Okay.
a chair, covered by the tablecloth.
Okay.
And you had talked about
The medical book.
the medical
The
book, and what
pharmacology.
is the book? And we ended up telling you that story and actually producing the book to show
Right.
it to you.
So they
But
were
it was
mentioning it.
pretty amazing.
So you have a wonderful basis of all medical healers in your family, starting with your granddad and your mom and you. So you've grown up in this vibration of healing. So again, I've always said to you, and I'll share that again, I feel you are a conduit to heal with your hands. And I've asked you if your hands tingle, and they do.
And they do.
So I'm going to say, as you journey on your pathway of life, and beautiful girl you are, I'm just going to say that I think that destiny will bring you to some place. It might be a wellness place, or it might be something with holistic and traditional. You might be the conduit to continue with that healing that you did with Catherine Drexel through your wonderful friend. So thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. I value the affirmations, and I think as your beautiful young niece continues to show you the things that will come true, I think I've predicted some children for her down the road.
You
Yeah,
have.
not tonight, not
and
tomorrow.
we're waiting.
I know.
I can hardly wait.
Did I say it was a girl?
Actually, you said it was twins,
Okay.
and then you said a girl.
All right,
so we
so-
may get both.
You may get both. And then you'll have to come back on the show.
I certainly
You
will.
have to bring the baby. So thank you so
Yeah,
much. Merry
thank you.
Christmas.
Thank
I
you so
can't-
much.
Oh, mwah. We did it. Thank you. Thank you. And once again, I'd just like to remind everyone that if you have an open heart and an open mind, some incredible things can happen for you, through you, and with you. So as you go through your daily life, as you remember the ones you thought you lost, ask them to try to communicate with you through an apport, through a dream, through some kind of experience that you would know you are making the connection to the wonderful spirit world. And again, thank you for the opportunity through Saugus Community Television to get my message to everyone, which always is the soul is eternal. We will find everybody again in eternal life. Thank you.